My student, who's 75 years young, rotates better than golfers in their 20s and has a tour pro level of rotation. And it actually has very little to do with his flexibility and mobility, and it has more to do with the positions he's getting in the golf swing. So you're all going to learn a lot here, because there's certain things you need in the golf swing to be able to rotate. And that's the reason of you not having those, of why you can't rotate. So let's get straight into an analysis of my student's swing, noting the pieces that you need to be able to rotate in your golf swing. And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna get onto camera afterwards and talk about exactly how you can go and do it at home, get these pieces into your golf swing, and a drill to rep out to be able to get this great rotation. So let's dive into my student's swing here and see why he rotates so well. So let's get straight into it. As we said, the pieces to be able to rotate are in his golf swing. So let's get to the first one here, and that is a square club face. So we can see him taking the club back into his takeaway position. See how the club face angle is matching his spine angle. So what that means, that club face is square to the arc. So as he continues through his golf swing, that club face is going to continue to be square to the arc, which is going to massively help him to be able to continue to turn. So we'll explain after this exactly why that club face, if it's closed or open, can really affect your rotation. So let's look at the next piece, which is so important: backswing depth with the hands and the arms. So if I draw a line down here with the hands, you can see it has hands are just behind his heels, and his left arm is covering his shoulder plane. So this is so important when it comes to rotation in the downswing, because this is what controls your club path. If you've got great depth of your hands and passable amount, so that is anything from ankles or behind of where the hands will be in this sense, or arm, left arm around the shoulder plane, your club is going to fall on path with you just turning nicely in good sequence in a downswing. So many players who, let's say, slice the golf ball when they get more rotation is because they've got bad arm and hand depth. Again, we're going to explain this all more in detail in a minute. So the third piece, so important, club shaft shallowing. So see how that club shaft is shallowing in transition here. So that nice pitching back of the club shaft, as we're going to see in transition. See how it's at that more laid down angle than where it was at the top of the swing. So it's not necessarily getting more into out, more behind him. So in path, so a lot of people will think shallowing means more inside. You can be shallow and be on the outside with your path. It's just the center of mass of the golf club pitching in this direction in comparison to where it was in the top of the backswing there. So all these movements, that good club face keeps the club face square to the arc as we continue to move through. The good backswing depth keeps the club moving on path, and the shallowing enables him to be able to have great turn going through that golf ball. Brilliant. Now the ball will generally go further than this. It's not for my student here because he's using a foam golf ball. So it will go further than that with a normal golf ball, but absolutely brilliant swing here. There's very little that he does here that is purely down to his mobility. Now, of course, he's in absolute brilliant shape for 75, for sure. But rotation and getting good rotation is more about the constant speed of your rotation, as we can see with my student here, constantly turning, no stall out through the golf ball, more than how open you can get. How open, how ultimately rotated Dustin Johnson you look is down to your mobility and athleticism, but your rate of rotation staying constant is what we can all get. We all might look different. He's not tremendously open at impact, as you can see, but he's plenty rotated and his rotation is constant, and that's due to the pieces he has in his golf swing. So let's get on camera here and let's talk about how to get these pieces that you need in your golf swing into your swing. So guys, a brand new course is now live on my Skillist, and that is Fixing Your Early Extension Masterclass. And in this course, absolutely everything you need to know about how to fix early extension and everything you need to know about early extension and what causes it. So we get into the root causes, everything that causes that problem, and in depth. And then we get into exactly what to do to fix each one of those root causes with the optimized practice structure. And with all my students, you see, let's say from my YouTube videos here, where I'll do videos on how they fix their early extension, those crazy big gains they make in a very short space of time, it's the same practice structure I've used with every single one of those students that have achieved massive success in fixing this problem fast. Early extension is only a big issue in the golf swing if you don't know how to tackle it. When you know how to tackle it, it is very straightforward, and I give you all the tools to be able to fix it in no time in this course. So there's a link in the description that takes you straight to my Skillist page, so the website of Skillist, and if you scroll down you'll see online courses. It will be right there. Brand new course, absolutely brilliant. There's tons of info in there. It's absolutely going to be the most comprehensive guide to fix your early extension that you've ever seen online. So as we saw there, he has the environment to be able to rotate. If you don't have those key pieces in your golf swing, rotation will become impossible, and even if you do manage to rotate, you'll hit the ball absolutely terribly. So it's something you must need before diving into if your mobility is good enough or not. And then even if you do have the pieces, you need to drill it out, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So let's get straight to those pieces and how to get them into your golf swing. So number one, club face. As we saw there, he has a nice square club face to where the club face angle at shaft parallel to the ground is matching his spine angle. So, and he maintains that square face because that's square to the arc throughout the entirety of his golf swing. Because if that club face is nice and square to the arc, the body can just freely turn going through the golf ball. If the club face gets too open, you'll have to stall and you'll have to flip. If the club face gets too closed, you'll have to stand up to raise the hands to open the face. So it's so important. If you trip up on that one, you're not going to be very good with it. So first and foremost, look at your grip. If you're open or closed, you've got to make sure, is it happening from grip or is it happening from my movement in a takeaway or maybe later on? So I would always recommend for players just to have a standard, normal grip. Even though I personally grip with a weaker grip, I find slightly weaker and standard grips better than strong because it becomes far easier then to be able to have a square club face. So for standard, make sure you're seeing 2 to 2.5 knuckles in that left hand, and with the V from your thumb to the meat of your right hand there, we want that line going up towards kind of like right pec area. So if you move back in what we'll call a standard takeaway, the club face is going to be square. So standard takeaway being having the hands around a hand's distance from your right leg and the club head in line, maybe even slightly outside the hands, again for a standard grip. If you can do that, your club face is going to be square. So if we do a little drill from there, I'm going to want you to get to that position. So shaft parallel to the ground, have your hands nicely, get a fist distance from that right leg, club head around the hands, slightly toed down, and then we stop there, and then we swing up and hit the ball. That maintains that square club face, unless we do anything else funky from there. And then we move through, and then that club face stays nice and square. So that's your drill to go away and do if your club face is not square. You can do this for both, of course, strong or weak grip, because you're just stopping here and making sure that club face is looking good, and then swinging up and swinging through. Really, really, really important one to do. And let's say if you're doing that and your club face is still opening or closing, very much so look at your wrist angles. Are you getting too bowed at the top, closing it off too much? Are you getting too cupped with that left wrist, opening it up? A load of different things, which is why there is a link in the description for lessons with myself online on Skillist. We can get to the bottom of that, but very much so get that first piece nicely and get that grip nice. So the second important piece was backswing depth. So depth of the hands and the arms. So really from there, we saw my student with that really nice depth. Now what we would classify as, we said, a nice depth of hands around kind of ankles, heels, maybe even slightly behind that. So that's where it's not going to negatively affect you for your downswing rotation. Because if I have this good depth and now I rotate in the downswing, the club is falling on path really nicely and I can just continue to turn. So for you golfers out there who, let's say, try to get more rotation and straight away you start to slice the golf ball, because you do this. You just lift the arm straight up to the top of the swing with no depth, a massive lack of it, to where these hands will be more on top of really balls of the feet region. So as soon as I turn down the downswing from there, the club's going to fly out in front of me. Because what we've got to remember, downswing rotation or any rotation in the golf swing has an effect on what the hands do. So if I outstretch my arm up to the top there and I rotate, you're going to see how the hands and arms are going to follow where I rotate. Now they're not going to go dead straight out like you're seeing here, because the ball's on the ground. It's going to have a slight outward move. Hands are also going to go down as well though. But if I have a lack of depth, that slight outward move, club's going to get out in front of me. So make sure you've got enough depth. Of course, we don't want too much to where the arms are right back here, because no matter how well you rotate, you're most likely still going to have the club stuck behind you. So we really want to get that good depth. And why we don't see players get good enough depth is 2 reasons. Again, one is a little bit of takeaway. Those players will be going dead straight out with the hands. They'll be trying to get the hands either going out or dead straight back. And then that just encourages them to lift the arms up. We want the hands to be going slightly in a takeaway because we're swinging on an arc in a golf swing. We want the hands to work on a mirrored arc. So that means they've got to go slightly in a takeaway. Like I said, a fist distance from that right leg. And then from there, if we're turning ourselves up to the top, the hands and arms are naturally going to have an upward movement in the backswing. But if we're turning, that's getting the hands to go around us. And now we've got good depth. Slight inward takeaway, good hip rotation. So we need that rotation. So many golfers will get the hands going out, no rotation, then the hands just go straight up. You need the rotation to bring them around. So that's where if we grab, let's say, a stick here, put the stick in our belt loops. Again, look at yourself on camera. You've got to know this before you come to the conclusion that your body can't rotate. Get yourself to that first drill there. Shaft parallel to the ground, hands going slightly in. We've got the first component of depth and a square club face. And then what I want you to do with this stick in between your belt loops, I want you to then get the stick gradually going halfway to the golf ball. That rotation is going to bring the hands and arms around more, and that's going to give you the good depth. And of course, this is a good one to where you're feeling like the stick disappears around you. You can get some downswing rotation as well from there. So 1, 2, there we go. So if we can get that, we're going to get the good depth. And then we're going to really nicely be able to have another piece that we need to be able to rotate through that downswing. So guys, even though we're talking about 3 pieces here, and we're going to get to the 3rd one, it is so important to know all the things that affect your rotation in the downswing, which is why there's so many more than I can actually say on this YouTube video, because it'll be way too long. That's why I've got a course called The Ultimate Guide to Rotation in a Downswing. Every single thing that affects your rotation is in there, and depending on what is wrong with your golf swing, there is a plan in that course also to practice for that specific thing with great rotation drills. There is a link in the description for that, and that would be the best way to arm yourself with knowledge and a plan to go about it that'll be tailored to yourself. It's in the description. Ultimate Guide to Rotation and Downswing, a really good one to have. So the 3rd piece, so important, shallowing the shaft. So starting that downswing with the club shaft slightly pitching behind you. Center of mass of the golf club pitching down. So center of mass of the golf club is the balance point in the shaft there. That's what we want to pitch behind us. So if we can do that, shallow that shaft, then of course we just need to turn and that club falls onto the golf ball perfectly. So we need to shallow the shaft, because if that shaft is too steep, gets vertical in the downswing and we continue to turn, we're going to massively chop down across it. We're going to be hitting down to the core of the earth. So that's why what we see with players, when they have that steep shaft, their body will reorganize itself to shallow out the angle of attack. And that might be for quite a lot of players, early extension, because you can see as soon as I stand the body up, club shaft starts to pitch more behind. That will shallow out angle of attack, but it will stall out your rotation. Not going to be good. We might even see players excessively trail side bend. Upper body massively spine tilting away, and you're going to see straight away what happens to the club shaft. It shallows later. So those are shallowing mechanisms reacting to a steep shaft in the early downswing. All will stall out your rotation. So that's why we need this nice shallowing move. And with my student, he did that via having really good external shoulder rotation. So that right elbow going more in front there. Now, this is probably the one area in his golf swing where he has got some really good gifted mobility in. Because for someone his age, again, having that degree of right elbow getting in front, external shoulder rotation is quite rare. That's his shallowing method, but there is plenty of shallowing methods out there to where I would recommend for most people just letting your pivot do it. So that's where we're starting down that downswing, leaving the hands and arms where they are. As soon as I turn down there, the club shaft starts to shallow out. And a great drill to do for that is to get yourself up against a wall, or a net in my case. It'd be great if this is a net, to where you're about a grip's distance with the wall behind you. Get the club, touch the wall, and leave your hands and arms up here whilst you turn the rest of your body. So turn lower body, mid-torso first. You're going to see if I have really nice loose grip tension, leaving the hands and arms where they are, the club's naturally going to start to slide down the wall. I'm not physically trying to slide it. I'm letting my arms be nice and loose, letting the club do the work. Around midway down, the club's going to detach and you turn through. But it gives you that feeling to be able to do this movement. Get those arms relaxing, get that club sliding down. Again, absorb that feeling, bring that feeling into the golf ball, just like you're trying to slide that club down via feeling arms nice, light and loose. Boom. There we go. So that's a really good one to do. Again, it's a very big topic. It's shallow in the golf club, and I have another guide out there for this topic because it's so extensive, and that is the complete guide to shallow in the golf club in the downswing, but also the ultimate guide to rotation has a ton of shallowing stuff in there also. So really important because it is one of the main big key things in rotation and being able to rotate nicely in the downswing no matter what your age is. But before we get into the drill here, guys, got to really know that shallow in the golf club, yes, it's very, very important, but you don't have to have this crazy kind of Matthew Wolf-like shallowing movement. Shallowing it a little bit will do the job for you. So don't have to try and get it crazy, just get it a little bit in your swing. Now let's get to the drill to do. So this is the exact drill my student did. So he has the variables in his golf swing, the pieces to be able to rotate, but that won't just make him rotate on its own. He still has to train the movement, where a lot of you will train the movement without knowing that you need to have all these different moves in the golf swing. So this is why it's a long process to be able to turn better in the downswing. But it's something that is so beneficial because it will cause you to hit longer, straighter golf shots as soon as you get the movement in there, which is why my student, as you've probably seen from another video recently with him, can win some big, big tournaments. And what he did was the preset rotation drill. So a drill I talk about all the time on the channel. I talked about in a video recently with the same student because he had some really, really good success from this drill. And that is opening up the hips as much as you can, opening up the chest as much as you can. Weight is 90% on the lead leg. Right shoulder is down to the right hip there. Now what we want to do, we want to turn in that backswing now, do a half swing start off with, spring back, spring through. And because I started in that rotation movement, in that impact, my body has a much better capability of getting back to that again. So short-term wise, you're going to notice when you do this, it's the only way you can actually get good rotation and hit the ball really, really well. But if you practice it enough for a good number of months, you will get it into your golf swing. It will start to gradually creep in. So it happens with absolutely everyone. Happened with myself. I did this drill a ton. Happens with all the students I teach on Skillist. Everyone gets into their golf swing, but everyone notices they hit the ball really quite well when they do this starting off with. So nice half swings and then building it up to fuller swings once you feel more comfortable with it. And then implementing that same feel to your normal swing to try and replicate it. But a very, very good one just to rep out over and over and over again. So as you can see from both front on and down the line, as a lot of you in the last video said, could you have a front on video for that? Absolutely, I listened to you, this is where it is. So really good one to be able to turn and unwind, as you can see there. So it's a long process, like I said, but it's one that has massive benefits. So if you want to rotate, absolutely, this is the video for you. Again, there is more in depth on the ultimate guide to rotation in the downswing. Everything on there, even more so than a recent video I made a couple months ago, which is a half an hour long video about the guide to rotation. I still couldn't put all the info in that either because the video would have been too long. So again, link in description, and for shallow in the golf club, and maybe even if you want to fix your over the top, there is a guide in there as well. So if you enjoyed the video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction, just like this. Hit the subscribe button and hit that bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. Now I'm going to share with you this one drill which will massively improve your distance just like it did with me. And I learnt this from my coach, who is the #1 long drive coach in the world, current coach of world long drive champion Martin Borgmeier, Lee Cox. Absolutely amazing drill. You're all gonna absolutely benefit hugely from this. So guys, let's run through exactly how I did this drill. Now I did it with a PRGR little launch monitor here. So it just gives you the basic stuff, just gives you your club head speed, gives you your ball speed, gives you your carry, gives you your smash factor, all that type of stuff. This is crucial for doing this drill. We need a way to measure what we're doing. So you don't need a big fancy launch monitor. A little one will be absolutely fine, just like I've got here. So what this drill was swinging with an extremely short backswing and trying to hit the ball as far as you possibly can with that. So what that encouraged me to do was have a lot of chest rotation. That was the only way I could generally create some speed, was having a very fast chest rotation move with that short backswing, because that's the area that I needed to improve massively back when I had this lesson. So if I just hit some shots here and we'll just get some general numbers, I'm just going to hit some kind of normal swings with an A-tine, not really going full out, so there won't be my full absolute yardage. We'll just get a good little baseline off it. So there we go, there's our first one which you can see 106 ball speed, 146 carry. It's pretty much what I'd really go for it out on the golf course. So just another one to get a good number. So there we go. 111 there, a little bit faster, 154. Let's go one more, just for normal swings, not doing the drill. This is important for you guys to do as well, get your normal numbers. And there we go, so we can see again, 111, 155. So now the challenge is, I have got to now go and hit and see if I can beat that with a half swing. It's going to be very, very difficult, but it's going to teach you to ramp up the speed of your chest's rotation and your movement through the golf ball to get that speed happening where it matters. Okay, so here we go, let's do it. So I've got to really turn my chest hard at this. I'm only going to feel like, anyway, I'm swinging to about here. Probably look a little bit longer, but it's definitely going to be a little bit of a shorter swing. So I'm really optimizing my move going through the golf ball. So 111 was my best, was that ball speed there that I got, 111. I wouldn't look too much into the club head speed, and this is not the best one for club head speed. I definitely didn't swing that last one at 108 with an 8 iron, I can tell you that. There's a bit of a, probably a misread there. So here we go. As far as I can, let's see if we could beat 111 straight away. 111 again. So, as you can see, it really gets you having to move quite aggressively. And I think this is what a lot of players lack in their practice. A lot of people are always scared to go at the ball. If you want to start to hit the ball further, you've got to train your subconscious to actually move faster. We all have a governor in our brain that really tells us what speed we normally swing at. And we have to break past that governor because we can swing a lot faster, and especially if we train in this way. So again, really short backswing, really as hard as I can turning through. Really almost feeling like my speed is post-impact of all that turn. So let's see if I can get faster. 110, a little bit slower, but you can see, I mean, these aren't long swings at all. These are little half swings, but getting relatively decent numbers. I mean, 152 with a little swing. Of course, I'm going at it as much as I can, but this is training that brain to work a little bit better and a little bit more efficiently. So another one, fatted that. We could see that definitely fatted that one. 103 is a little bit of a drop down. That's the thing, you're moving as fast as you possibly can in this little space of time. There are ones that you're not going to sequence everything. You're going to get a little bit of a poor one. So, okay, here we go again. Let's do a couple more. Really as fast as you can through that ball. Speed is the key here. Turn that chest very, very hard. 111, come on, we can get it. So this is the key when you're doing this type of training. So this is very much like overspeed training to some extent, but we're chasing the speeds, the ball speed more than anything. That's a thing we want to look at. Obviously, club head speed would be very good to look at as well. Any of those numbers, bump them up. But we always want to try and beat those good numbers there. 155 carry for that. I'm happy with that. So let's go one more. Let's see if we can beat it. That felt like it. No, the same again. Exactly the same. So this is where it can be quite a fun element working on it. So now the good thing is, let's say you've done, I don't know, a good 15 minutes of that. It's quite tiring. So you will probably, 15 minutes of doing that in your practice session will probably be enough. But then here we go. We've done them really fast swings. Let's now get some more normal swings, but feel that same element in there to see whether we can make some little records and getting our distance up. This is the key to hitting the ball longer, trying to beat your personal score. So we go, 112, okay. Getting there, but you can see it's not massively different from those little half swings with the fuller one there. So okay, here we go, another one. Big swing, really turn hard through it. Let's do it. 112 again, almost swinging out my shoes, 90 miles an hour. Club head speed, happy with that, it's definitely good for an 8 iron. Come on, one more. Here we go. But you've got to think, this part that I'm doing here is what you do like at the end. This is not the actual drill. The drill is what we just talked about, the fast chest rotations. So really, as you can see, technique has almost been thrown out the window here on how I'm getting this speed. I just want to really go at it, and then that will translate into my normal swing. So it's boosting up that governor that's holding my speed. So let's go, here we go. 111 seems to be my sticking point today. Don't look at that club head speed, 107, that's not right. So as you can see, short, powerful move going through the golf ball is a drill. Brilliant, brilliant one to do to ramp up that chest rotation, ramp up just the general speed you're going through the golf ball. As you could see, a bunch of different things that I was doing there, my body was naturally doing to create speed. It was extending way more, pushing out the ground, all stuff that it was doing naturally to be able to hit this ball further. So we see tons of times with players who are practicing in this way to create a lot of speed, they start to get very advantageous things into their golf swing without even trying to generate this. So this won't ruin your swing by any stretch of imagination. Working on that, especially with a short swing, will actually make you a little bit straighter, because again, it's utilizing that rotation going through the shot. Incredibly fun way to practice, and something that loads of golfers do not do even slightly in their practice, and that's practice for speed. As soon as I started doing that, practicing for speed, I became better a lot faster. So, important element, look at Bryson, for example, to an extreme extent. What he's done is incredible, practicing for speed. Even with just something like here, I did all this practice with just an 8-iron too, like I'm showing here. Great stuff to do. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So get practicing with this. You're going to start hitting the ball a lot further, just like I did. I can't believe how much easier this one move makes the downswing, and that's having your club continuously trail your right shoulder going through the golf ball. Now, this move will fix your fat shot, resulting in good crisp strikes. It will also fix your slice shot, resulting in straighter ball flights, and it will also help you rotate better, fixing that stall and flip of the hands going through the golf ball, so that will result in some much better dispersion and power. So this is the feel that a lot of golfers are continuously searching for to get the rotation into their golf swing. It is, in my opinion, the only feel you can really have that gets you turning through that golf ball, because it is the hardest part of the golf swing to turn through. But if you get that right shoulder and make sure it's always ahead of that club head coming into the shot, you can see it how it will automatically rotate me in both chest and hips. So it's something that is so awesome. I'm going to show you a drill at the end of the video as well to really ingrain this in, but it's not what we see golfers do. We will see golfers always have that club head winning the race to the golf ball, so it quickly passes past that right shoulder coming through impact, resulting in a ton of different bad shots. But for you to understand this better, let's go from a side by side here of doing the move, right shoulder beating the club to the golf ball, and the opposite next to it, having the club head beat the right shoulder, and see what they look like from both angles. And we'll talk about it and get into a drill afterwards. So guys, let's dive straight into the analysis here of what to do and what not to do. So let's look at the right shoulder beating the club head to the golf ball swing. So we're going to notice some really good things happen here. So this is my main feel I'm having in the downswing here. So you can see coming through that downswing, club shaft is looking nice and shallow. But the main thing I want you guys to look at going through the golf ball here. Look at the rotation of the body. It is completely smooth. Look at that chest rotation, how it's just continuous going through the golf ball. There is no big stall out there. So if we zoom in a little bit, we're going to see one really good thing. We're going to see how the hand path is nicely exiting left around us. So you can see how those hands just disappear. So that's that passive release movement of the hands. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just continuing and keeping the rotation going through the shot, and the club is going to follow the rotation. So that's one big thing. But why does that even matter? It matters because of what it does to this here, the club face. You're going to see how the club face is moving extremely stable going through the shot. The rate of closure of that club face is very, very minimal. So what that means is we're going to deliver a nice square club face vast majority of the time, and a way higher percentage coming through that golf ball. If we are keeping that club face square to the arc, it's going to remain square to the arc, as we can see here. So that means your dispersion of your shots are going to be way tighter, so that's going to be improving your scores. That's all due to the rotation. This feel is encouraging. You could also see here, look at how that club is traveling. Look at here, for example. See how that club shaft is going right through my right forearm here. So what that is telling us that club is moving perfectly on path. So it really encourages good club path, because if that club head is trailing that right shoulder, the club is not going to get too far out in front for you slices of the golf ball Players out there, you know, your over the top swings, it's going to be very hard to do that with this, almost impossible. And because it encourages great rotation, you're also not going to be struggling with dumping the club on the inside. So a very, very good feel indeed. So let's now have a look at what not to do here. So where you're having the club beat the right shoulder to the golf ball. So a lot of golfers who have active arm swings, this is you, or have a stall out and a flip. So if we look here, so I still managed to shallow the club shaft, which is good. That's my natural shallowing move. So you can see here immediately the club shaft in a path sense is a little bit more on the outside. You can see how it's just above that right forearm. So immediately here, just a little bit more on the outside. For some golfers who really will be a lot more so on the outside, but more so than anything, look at coming through the golf ball here. See how that club does not want to exit to that left. So that's because the rotation, as you can see with the body, has completely stalled out here. So if we have a little look now at the club face, we remember what it was doing on the opposite here. It was having that really good, nice, stable rotation. But look at here. Look at all that club face closure, those hands whipping over. Because if the rotation isn't leading the swing, what's going to happen? You're just going to roll and you're going to flip the hands. So that means one shot you might hit good, the other shot you might hit bad, the other one you might hit it completely the opposite direction. So this is the definition of army golf, this swing. So you're going to be left, right, entire time playing your round of golf. So that's why you need to keep your rotation nice and solid going through there. If not, you're going to have a big hand release going through the golf ball, and that club face is just going to be square for a split second. That's why you need to turn a little bit more like this one here going through the golf ball, having that right shoulder beating the club to the golf ball, because that club face rotation is way better. And I tell you what, that one will get you playing better golf. So let's have a little look at the front on angle to see the benefits this is going to make to your ball striking and your ball and turf contact, and a little bit of shuffling benefits as well. So again, on the left here, let's look at that good one of having that right shoulder beating the club to the ball. Again, this is very much a feel, because you're going to see here, the club is generally going to beat the right shoulder to the ball, but that's the feeling we're having going through there. Feel isn't real in the golf swing, and that's certainly the case with this. But even here, getting to shaft parallel to the ground, you can see it how those hands are almost on top of the golf ball there. That's because the rotation is so good, and this encourages good lateral shifting as well. So then that gets you into a position here when you're at shaft parallel to the ground. Those hands are on top of the golf ball, where you can just have a little brisk turn and you get here. Nice little bit of shaft lean with those hands ahead of the golf ball. Again, I'm not trying to physically create that shaft lean. It is the rotation and the good lateral shifting that having the right shoulder beating the club to the golf ball is giving me. That's why I said this is going to be a feel that so many of you are going to be able to play really well with and really create this good rotational move that you've been struggling to create. Absolutely awesome. So if we have a little look here at what not to do, the club is now going to beat that right shoulder to the golf ball. So we're going to see immediately here, see how my body's starting to tilt back a little bit? That's not going to be good for our striking. And that's a little bit different there. If we go all the way to impact again on the good one, we can see where are the hands in relationship to the golf ball here? Pretty much behind it. Where are the hands in relationship to the golf ball, and what to do? In front. So it tells you compression is going to be completely different with these two type of shots. So we can see very stereotypical cast. Look at all that roll and rotation. That is not going to be good for your golf scores. So that's of the wrists. So not great. And one more thing to note here, guys. Have a little look at this. I'm going to draw two lines through the middle of the body. This is going to tell us again our shifting in the downswing. Let's look at the good. So you can see head still stays pretty much on the center line. You can see how the body has shifted there. See how the right leg, that line is going through the right side of it, and how it's going through the right side of the chest as well. That means the low point is going to be after the golf ball. The low point is more in line with where the left pec is. So that means ball and turf contact. Let's have a look here on what not to do. Wow, that's a difference. So you can see head behind the line, only even slightly in contact with it. And you can see where's the left side of the chest is going through the center line. So that's going to mean the low point is going to be roughly around here. And hitting this shot here, I remember I hit slightly behind it. And that's because those arms beat the club or beat the right shoulder to the golf ball, that club head did, and then I'm going to struggle with low point control. So absolutely, if you want a consistent swing that's going to create good club path, good low point control, and good rotation, this is the exact feel to do. So let's get to the drill now. So the drill is a really, really cool one, because ultimately how you're doing this is it's not even focusing on the right shoulder, but the right shoulder has to work the way we want to be able to achieve this drill properly. So this is a very, very common drill, but our intent's a bit different. So this is where we have an alignment stick. Put the alignment stick up the left-hand side of the golf club to where a lot of it comes up here. So a lot of you who, let's say, early release and cast, you'll be very familiar with this. You've got to swing through and make sure this stick doesn't hit your side. But to do that, and to really achieve that good, you need good rotation. What gets good rotation? Having that right shoulder being ahead of the club head. Look how far away that stick is from me if I really get that feel. It will never in a million years hit my side. So for a lot of golfers who already have practiced this, trying to, let's say, get more compression, which of course this does as well, this is going to be a way to really get it there, because this is one that a lot of golfers massively frustrate themselves with. But let's make sure that we're having that right shoulder staying ahead of the club head, and this is not going to hit our side. Boom, there we go. So again, not hit our side through impact. It will always hit our side as we're in our finish, as we get fully extended post impact. So of course that's how our swing is going to be a little bit slower here than it will be going through the golf ball. So you're not going to feel all too much pain, and start with some half swings first. Right shoulder always ahead of that golf club. There we go. So you can see just some more smaller swings, and then when you feel comfortable, you can really bring that swing length up with that same feel. There we go. And you can see from a slow motion there how well it gets you rotating. So again, let's have a look at this one. Boom. So nice passive release, got that good nice rotation, solid smooth rotation going through there. This just forces you to do it, because if you don't do it, what's going to happen? If you let that club beat the right shoulder, you're going to quickly hit your side. So it's a brilliant, brilliant drill to do. So of course, once we've done enough of this drill, we'll get a very, very distinct feeling. The drills create the feels. You can't really get a very extreme feel without doing a drill. So that's why it's just going to aid and embed that feeling in even more of what that right shoulder feels like to lead the club. And boom. There you go. I mean, you'll be just hitting nice rotational shots again and again and again. So absorbing that same feel from the drill. Boom. Awesome. So get that practicing, have a good go at that drill. Like we said, if you struggle with any of what we mentioned in the video, this is going to be a great feel for you to go and implement. It's what I do when I go and play. This is my feel I really like. So makes a huge difference. So if you enjoyed the video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction, just like this. Hit a subscribe button, hit a bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. I couldn't rotate in the downswing until I found this drill. I used to rack my brain and thinking, why can I not rotate? I do everything right, but then I still stall out, flip the hands through the golf ball. This drill was the key for me to having that nice effortless rotation through the downswing. Now, what this drill does, it targets your hip tilt. And having good hip tilt is absolutely crucial to being able to rotate. If you don't keep the tilt of your hips, you will always stall out and you'll always flip. And this is something that you very rarely see online. Really, my channel is really one of the only places you see stuff about hip tilt on YouTube. So, hip tilt. Keeping the left side, the tilt of your hips down as we turn. So with this drill here, what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to get the left hip to go down and around. So I'm trying to get this stick to point down and disappear around me as soon as I start my transition. That keeps that inclination of the pelvis, and that keeps me turning through the shot. So this is something that no one ever considers when they're trying to rotate better in the swing. You'll be more focused on getting open, where that's only one portion. You need to keep the tilt, because that keeps the rate and the speed of your rotation constant. So for me, what I used to do, I used to raise up that left side in the downswing, where what that would do, that would have me stall out my rotation before I even got to impact. I could sometimes get my hips open, but I couldn't keep that rotation going. I would stall out here where it looked like I spun out of my hips, but in reality it was just my lead side of my pelvis was raising up, stalling out my body. I can't continue to turn from that position. So having this stick here and keeping it pointing down and around, going through that downswing, kept me to where my rotation was nice, smooth and constant, as you could see there. And it's just an amazing drill to be able to get this movement of that nice continuous rotation into your swing. So let's get a little bit more in detail, step by step with this, and talk about a good addition to this drill, which will rotate all of it. All of you could do this little addition I'm going to explain here and get ridiculously good rotation as a byproduct. So wait around for that at the end of this bit. So, okay, like we said, stick pointing down and around in transition. We want to straight away have this stick pointing more towards the ground and turning around there. So what happens then, as soon as we get to around shaft parallel to the ground, that's the bit where the stick will start to raise up. I'm not trying to hike my hip up to do that. That's called left side extension, is what is getting this stick to raise back up. That's my left leg straightening, which will then keep your pelvis turning through that impact area. So we don't necessarily want to keep this stick down towards the ground the entire time, because then we're going to have a fully flexed lead leg. We want to have this left leg straighten as we get into impact. That will raise the stick up. But prior to that, we really need to keep the stick down as we're turning through that shot. So stick down, turning through, it will lift up through the golf ball via left side extension. Now the addition is with the chair drill. So you've seen this a lot on my channel recently, the chair drill, to where we want to push the chair back with our left side as much as we can in the downswing. Now, why this is so good for this drill, because this targets the two areas of rotation. Rotation isn't just getting open, it's also the rate of your rotation. That, like we talked about earlier in the video, hip tilt controls the speed and the rate of your rotation. Is your rotation constant or does it stall out? This really helps with that. So it doesn't quite work on the openness, getting more open, more rotated, more Dustin Johnson-like, can do, but really having the depth of your pelvis. So working on pelvis depth, which is getting your pelvis moving more back. So left pelvis depth being in a downswing, left hip going more back, will get you open, keeping this stick pointing down around. Of course, we know when it lifts up for impact, but then that works on the rate of your rotation. So if we could do, let's say, 1/2 to 3/4 swings with this, because there's a lot you're doing at once, you're going to notice, for all you out there, that you're going to start to turn a hell of a lot better. So here we go, just going to do a half swing version, both drills here. There we go. So you can see from there, great rotation. So you can all do this drill, have a good go at it, do these two, and you can see some crazy good rotation pretty much every time you do it. There we go. So stick point down, down and around, pushing the chair back if you want both of them. Now, be a great one to do, but important disclaimer here. A lot of you who can't rotate in the downswing is because your swing isn't in a place to be able to rotate. So like I said at the beginning of the video, I used to rack my brain of why I couldn't rotate, even when my swing had the environment to rotate. So what does that mean? My club face was nice and square at the top of my swing, and it was maintaining being square in a downswing, because if I don't have a square face, if I'm open, I'm going to stall out, I'm going to flip. Not going to be ideal. So from there, that one thing you need in your golf swing, you won't be able to benefit from any of this if your club face ain't square. So from there as well, depth of your arms at the top of the swing, being deep enough, so having your left arm more across your shoulder plane, having your hands around kind of your ankle region, maybe behind, then that's going to help you. As soon as you turn, club's going to be on path. If your lead arm's too high and you turn the downswing, you're going to swing massively over the top. So those are two really important ones in there. Like we talked about hip depth, making sure that right hip's working back as well in that backswing, keeping yourself moved back. If your pelvis moves forward, going up to the top of your swing, you're going to continue to move forward. You're going to early extend. There's tons and tons of things that I could go on forever about variables that will stop you or make you rotate in a golf swing. I've got a guide to rotation on the app version of Skillest. There's a link in the description all about that. Everything you want to know about rotations in that. It's important to have your swing in the right place if you want to benefit from this. This is going to help you if your swing's in the environment, so make sure you check out your swing if it's in a good place. On Skillest, so if you want me to have a look at your swing, link in the description for online lessons there. But definitely film your swing, see if it's in the place to rotate, then work on these drills and you're going to be good to go, because this is what helped me, or why I couldn't rotate. Might help you too if your swing's in the right place. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So here's two shots. One, I was going as fast as I could with my arms. The other, I was going pretty slow with my arms and really getting through with the body. What would be the faster one, do you reckon? The longer one and the straighter one? It's not the arms, it is the slower arms and more body. So especially in regards to the arms, you would have thought that the longer one would certainly be with the faster arms because you're swinging them faster, generate more speed. But it wasn't, it was the slower one, and consistently there too. Sounds weird, doesn't it? But slower arms will actually get you to hit the ball further and gain way more control. So let's explain how. So okay, so just so we can see real time again, let's have a little look here. Fast arms, I'm gonna go as fast as I can with my arms. How far has that ball gone? So it's gone quite far left, 143 yards of carry, about 144, and its ball speed 106. So club head speed also was 78, so not a really fast swing, but I was trying to go at that with my arms. I was really trying to hard release it through as well. A lot of things a lot of golfers believe is how you gain distance. So I'm gonna really feel in this next swing, really slow with my arms in transition, and I'm just gonna turn hard and get through that golf ball. And we're gonna see quite a big jump up. So that wasn't my best of strikes in the world. I hit it a little bit off the toe, but immediately club head speed is 86.6, carry 156, little tight draw, tiny bit left of the line. That's still gonna be a pretty good shot. And we can see ball speed is now 113.6. So quite a big jump up in distance. So why is that the case? Why was slower arms, me feeling like I was doing less with my arms, actually got me more distance? So when we are hitting shots with a slower arm speed, we're going to encourage more body movement. So if we have a deeper dive into this swing with more of a body swing, tiny push on that, tiny push, but still pretty good. 150 yards of carry, that's about stock for an 8-iron for me here in a cold English weather day. So my body can start its transition better. If I don't start my downswing quickly with the arms, my body can lead. So then I can have that lower body and mid-torso start to turn naturally if my arms are giving myself time to turn. So then that club is naturally going to start to have a little shallow move. And it's naturally going to pick up a little bit more lag as well. So you're going to have a lot more tension on that shaft. So then I can turn that body through the golf shot, and that club is actually going to fall on the ball really, really quite nicely to where you're going to get some much straighter shots from club face control. Even that one I hit there, slight push, that's literally going to be a couple yards right of the flag. It's nothing at all. That's a good bad one by really tour player standards. I'm not a tour player. So from there, it's just I can generate more speed from my body by giving myself time to turn. Where if I go more with my arms and I have a fast arm swing, so here we go, I could beat probably that number with an arm swing. We'll see, because that wasn't the best of shots. So we go, immediately you can see ball goes left. Wow, that's off the planet. I mean, look, straight away, 136. Let me even try again. See if I can get a longer one out of that with more arms. I mean, again, really hard to strike a ball left. I mean, that was complete fat as well. Let's go another one, really trying to whip those arms hard through the golf ball. That was probably a little bit better. Again, way left. 146.9, I got 80 yards or 80 miles an hour club head speed at the one. 108, that was a very good connection, but look where the ball's gone again. I don't think I'm going to be able to do a better arm swing for it than that. So it's really hard to be able to get yourself to be able to swing consistently with an arm swing and get you to hit the ball far and get you to hit the ball straight as well. You have to have extraordinary good timing. For me there, with that arm swing, I was trying as hard as I can, pull those arms down in transition was one of my big thoughts there, and really working the hands and wrists through the golf ball. Like a lot of you believe that will make the ball go further. But you see from there, that got me all out of sequence. That got me to where my arms were ahead of my body in the race to the golf ball. Didn't necessarily mean the club might be getting too far out in front of me. It was on these cases of the shots. But also there, because I still had a square club face, so square to the arc, me trying to hard release the hands going through the golf ball, every single shot went left. So it went shorter and more wayward. So from there, me just changing the intent of my arms. One was fast as hard as I could in transition and through the golf ball, release, and really resulted in that. And the body ones were just really making sure arms were nice and loose, getting the body just to unwind through the golf shot. So because I hit a flurry of balls with the arm swing, hit shot after shot, I'm going to do the exact same with the slower arms and the more body. So let's do that, and we're going to talk about exactly how to do this with some good drills. So here we go, let's look at some numbers. So I'm really trying to go slow with those arms in transition, really get that body moving. It's a nice little push draw right onto the line there. 153 yards, 87 miles an hour club head speed, 113 on the yard or on the ball speed there. So let's go another one. Yeah, that felt all right. Starting on the line, maybe a tiny pull, 150 yards, that's stock really. 87 miles an hour, or 88. So for some of you out there, you might not be thinking that's a long golf shot for an 8-iron. Some of you probably can get it 160 plus with an 8-iron. But I'm a golfer, pro golfer who has cerebral palsy. So I'm not going to be able to generate as much club head speed as most people will. But even for myself, a disabled golfer can get these yardages out of clubs is great. Is really good. That's why, I mean, even for me, I should be the advocate. I should be the perfect poster child for an arm golf swing because my disability is up my left side of my body. That's where you post into, that's where you rotate into. But I can still hit it further, doing it with more body. So that's why learning to do this technique is good. So here we go, 2 1s, less talking. So you just feel like it's more whippy. I'm not trying to go at these hard. So was that 158 there, 86 club head speed. 114, pretty much 115 ball speed. That's good for me. I'm really happy with that. Almost 160 a carry. Let's do another one. Nice slow arms. Get that body to turn. Not the best of strikes, that one, bit toey. It's only going a little bit offline. Again, it's not a bad number. You can see ball speed just immediately dropped because of the strike. So it isn't just as simple as slowing your arms and turning. And just turning like a plank. It's not that at all. You want to, of course, slow the arms down at the top. You want to feel like they're not doing much at all to give yourself time to turn, but turn in sequence. You want your lower body and mid-torso to start to turn and unwind. A lot of you, when you're trying to get more rotation in your golf swing, you're doing it, like I said, like a plank of wood. Everything's moving at once. And you might think, I'm not flexible enough to do this. And again, I'm a disabled golfer. You don't have to be that flexible to be able to do this. You just need to train it. So we need to train that lower body mid-torso to rotate first so we can get the good path control, the good whip through the golf ball. Here's how we do it. So grabbing a resistance band that's attached to an upright. It's the best way to do it in my opinion. I'll show you another way also. Get it up here and then all you need to do is turn that lower body and mid-torso. Practice getting that movement in there. Really lower body mid-torso. Turn it a lot. So really good stuff. That's going to train that movement. Because you're gripping onto something resistance, you can't do anything with your arms. So now you've just got to move your lower body and mid-torso. Awesome stuff. So brilliant, brilliant one to go and do. You don't have to have a resistance band though. You can just get your left arm, pin it across your chest, turn your lower body mid-torso just like so, because you're stopping your arms from doing anything completely from there. Now, that's the rotational portion of it, but what about the slow arms? I've got you. So get up to the top of your swing with your left arm. Put your palm on the butt end of the club. Now I want you to do again the same type of thing. Lower body mid-torso go, but don't put any pressure into your hand with the butt end of the club. That is the best way to be going about and working this. All drills without a golf ball. All drills without it. So that's where you can really get this good practicing at home. Get it on the range. If you're doing the range with any of these, do 5 of them and then do 3 balls, feeling that same thing, getting up there. Getting through that shot, bit pulley, 160. So there you go. Did the drill straight away. I mean, it wasn't the straightest ones. It was a little pull that would have probably hit the left side of the green. But compared to, let's do an arm one. Bye ball. 134. And out of bounds left. Even with one trying to get the club face open, you know, to have a good roll for it. So club face open and then have a good arm swing. You need an open club face for an arm swing. I mean, it's just so hard to time up. I can't hit a shot with it. 105. So it's something that, I mean, that was a fat shot, but it is something that it's so much easier to make the arms passive, get the body turning. Again, those good few movements. Let's do some. Get that body moving, nice passive arms. Let's do 3 for the sake and let's get up one and smack one. See if we can get the fastest one yet. And without even trying to go at it. Slow arms, just turn that body, giving it time. That could be good. 158, I'm still happy with that. 115 ball speed, great. Tiny left of it, fine with that, fine with that. So, absolutely, as you can see here. Now, I've got a lot of practicing with the fast arms. maybe I might be able to make it work. Now, I'm a golfer that's versed in swinging more with the body, as you see with my YouTube channel. But that's not the way I always used to swing. I used to swing with my arms a lot. I'm going to make a video just about that very, very soon. Let's give an arm one a go again. A little bit thinny. 133, that's about all I can get out of it. 101 ball speed, that's good, isn't it? So, big difference there. But absolutely, I'm definitely biased on this. I've had a lot of practice with swinging the way I swing, swinging more with the body, slow arms. So it's going to be much more of an apparent thing for watching me do it. It's going to be very apparent. You're going to see a lot of balls go more left for me than you might do for you. But the distance when you get it there, as you can see, is very, very different. That's about the distance I should hit it, 133 carry, as a disabled golfer. That's about how far I should hit it. That's what's expected. But I don't. I can still hit it pretty normal distance. For those you saw, there was a 160. That's crazy for me. So, absolutely, don't set limits on yourself. You can swing in this, nice slow arms, really get that body turning. Gives you time to turn, gives you time to build up speed. Every other sport we lead with our body, golf's no different. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction, just like this, hit a subscribe button, hit a bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video. So I'm gonna show you how to do this here, getting through impact in an ideal passive body orientated way. And it really feels like, with this little technique I'm going to show you, it feels like you're cheating to be able to get this. So let's show you how to cheat to be able to get this really nice movement going through the golf ball. And what is it? It is my main focal point on these swings are my right arm staying bent. So going through the golf ball with this bent right arm. So why does that feel like you're cheating and getting this downswing super easily from it? Because when that right arm stays bent going through the golf shot, especially through the hitting area, it can straighten after, but we want it to be bent through the hitting area. It's because it forces pretty much everything we want to see to happen. So it forces us to have good rotation, because to be able to get through the golf ball with a bent right arm, you have to rotate. That's why we see with all these top players I'm showing on the screen now, we see them have a bent right arm at impact. So that's one thing that helps with tremendous club face control, is having that good rotation. Bent right arm forces that to happen, because if you straighten the right arm, rotation has to stall out to be able to make room for that right arm by backing out the way. So brilliant one, rotation, awesome. Right side bend forces it to happen, because of course if the right arm is bent going through the golf ball, the right side has to bend to be able to get that club down towards the ground. You can see that also opens up the body massively. So again, if I straighten my right arm instead, my right side has to stay very tall, has to stay very vertical, again to make way for the right arm to straighten through the shot. So absolutely awesome. Passive club face is the next one, so this is a byproduct of both of those. Rotation and right side bend is when we're keeping that right arm bent going through the shot, means we're going to have a good right side bend, good rotation. Club face will nicely be stable and passive going through the golf ball. It will just be a byproduct. So that means you're going to be hitting straighter shots more consistently. So if we can do the opposite of straightening that right arm going through the shot, you're going to naturally, like we said, stall out the rotation. You're going to get taller. So that means your hands and arms have to pass through quite hard. That means you're going to get a lot of wrist action going through the golf ball, a lot of rotation of the club face. So not a great one to do. Again, if you hit tons and tons and tons of golf balls, you may be able to make it work. There are some pros who still have that little bit of the right arm straightening going through the golf ball. Here's the thing, you can give a professional any movement and they'll learn to hit it to a target because they're top players. Guys are watching YouTube videos are not the best players in the world. So we need a more consistent move that, funnily enough, the best players in the world are more adopting now anyway, like they used to back in the past. Look at Sam Snead here. Right arm looks pretty bent to me going through the golf ball. Look at his body movement, pretty good. So let's talk about some drills. So there's two drills I really like for doing this. One is one I've talked about a lot on my channel, and that is the preset rotation drill. So that's getting into a rotated impact position where our hips are open, our chest is open, and our right arm is bent, and we're making sure that right side is down towards the right hip, right shoulder down towards the right hip, weight 90% on that left side. And then what we do, we swing back and we swing through, keeping that exact same structure of that right arm as we spring back through. Doing that a lot will get this movement into your golf swing. It's an absolute brilliant one. So again, let's run through it. weight 90% on the left side. Open up the hips as much as you can, open up the chest as much as you can. Right shoulder down to right hip. You can see now the right arm is really nicely bent. Now what I'm going to do is swing back, swing through, keeping that same structure. Results in some awesome ball striking, but keeps that right arm bent, and it's all a matter of repetition from there. So that's a really good one. Here's another really cool one. So this drill I'm about to show you is one that was my very first drill for rotation that I was ever given when I was the student and not the coach. So this is hitting balls with your right arm only. So we've all kind of played around with this before, hitting balls with one arm, and some golfers will be great with it, some won't be. And the golfers who won't be good at doing this drill would be straightening the right arm, who can't hit good shots with one arm hitting it with the right arm. So to be able to hit the ball, you have to rotate from here. So you've got to keep that right arm nice and soft and bent to be able to hit good golf shots doing it. So keep that right arm nice and soft and keep it bent. And to make good contact, you're going to have to do it, because if I straighten the right arm, it's going to be extremely hard to hit that golf ball. So again, keep that right arm bent, nice and soft, turn through, keep that right arm bent the entire time, and you'll be able to hit some good little shots doing that. And of course, what do we do from there? We get that feel into it, we get enough reps in, replicate that exact same feeling, but with two hands on the golf club. And then we're going to have that very nice bent right arm. And then when we slow it down, we're going to see ourselves in these brilliant positions, that good right side bend, good rotation, good passive club face, because this has stayed bent. So it does feel like you've got a little cheat code to get through the golf ball really nicely. It's, again, a thing that we see that good players do, that this move is almost a byproduct of everything. If we rotate well, side bend well, of course, what's going to happen? Right arm will be bent. But we can almost reverse engineer it a little bit and do the right arm bit first, and everything just starts to fall into place. Brilliant one for guys as well, because you out there who, let's say, you try to rotate more, you shank the golf balls because that right arm is still firing. So often we'll see guys trying to rotate, and what they're doing, boom, straighten the right arm. They go, oh God, rotating makes me fat the golf ball, it makes me shank the golf ball, it makes me just hit terrible contacts, because your right arm is doing this. Keep it bent, turn through that shot. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button. If you want more golf instruction just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too, to be notified every time I put out a video. Now, why you can't rotate in the downswing is because of one of these 6 reasons, and I'll give you a fix for all these 6 reasons. And none of these have got anything to do with your athleticism or mobility. It's all your golf swing. Let's get into the first one. So number 1, your setup is terrible. So 2 things here in your setup. 1, your left foot position, and 2, your posture. So left foot position first. What we see, so many golfers who cannot rotate no matter what they do in that downswing, you'll see them set up to the golf ball like this with a dead straight left foot with their toe pointing in front. Essentially what you're doing here, you're closing off your left hip capsule to the amount that you can rotate. So if I try and rotate as much as I can with that left foot dead straight, so let's say I just rotate as much as I can, that's as much as I can go before I hit a brick wall. So what I'd want people to do instead for the fix of this would be to open up that left toe. Really make sure that left toe is pointing out, flaring that foot, because immediately you open up that hip capsule. So straight away there, you can start to turn way, way more. Now this is about where I'm hitting the brick wall in my mobility. Look how much more rotation that is. So if you're not flaring that foot out, you're not even giving yourself the slightest hope of being able to rotate. So the second part of the setup, and that is posture. I see so many golfers set up to the golf ball like this, where their pelvis is way behind them, they're really hip hinging, and they've got their armpits in front of their toes. What this is going to do is you turn back in the backswing, your weight is now going to go into your toes because the mass of your upper body is too far forward. So what we'll see most golfers do, if they try to rotate, and let's say they successfully rotate, the weight's going to be so far on the toes, they're just going to fall forward. Don't generally see that happen though. What you see is golfers start to early extend. You'll see them with their upper body start to move up, because then the upper body gets more in line with the lower body. It's easier for the body to balance. But if you do that, you're not going to be able to rotate at the same time, so you'll hit again that brick wall. And for the fix for this, I want to see players in this type of posture. I want to see them with their pelvis a little bit more tucked underneath. I want to see their armpits more on the balls of their feet, so right around kind of shoelaces region, bottom of the shoelaces, and then just have that very slight round of the upper back here. So this will really make you function so much better in your golf swing, because then as you make a full turn up to the top, you can way easier get that weight and that pressure transferring into that right heel, and now your upper body is already on top of the lower body. You're not so displaced in front. It's so much easier to keep your posture and your balance going through the shot. It is just such a surefire way to set yourself up to be able to rotate way, way better. So number 2, your club face is either too open or too closed. So let's go to open first. This is so common. I would say 90% of students that send in lessons to me who can't rotate, have tried everything, and their club face is like this. Wide, wide open. So if you have a massively open club face and you keep that club face open in your swing, if you rotate, so somehow magically you rotate from there, you are going to present such an open club face, you'll be unreal, you'll hit the ball off the planet right. But what your body will actually do from there, your rotation will slow, so you can do this. You can throw an early release it. That's where a lot of your early releases come from, open club face. Your body rotation has to stop to be able to do that. And why the early release happens is because it squares up the club face. So absolutely don't want to do that. Closed club face players, you'll see some players here with a club face looking dead straight down to the ground. And then from there, maybe they're trying to be like Dustin Johnson. And now, when you've got a club face that is this closed, if you haven't got Dustin Johnson's speed and athleticism, you will most likely have to stand the body up to be able to square the club face. Because if you don't get as open or rotate as fast as Dustin Johnson, you won't get that club face squaring up just by rotation. Mere mortals will have to stand their body up because that raises the hands up, which then squares the face, makes it point more down towards a target for a closed face. So the fix for this, 1, make sure your grip is okay. Let's say on the closed club face side, so many players are bought into gripping it super, super strong. That can very much have some huge downsides to it. And some players will be gripping, let's say for an open club face, it very, very weak. So basic standard advice that can hit a lot of golfers out there watching. Make sure your grip is nice and standard will be good advice there for you. So making sure you're seeing 2.5 knuckles on that left hand, and with that right hand, the V between the thumb and the meter hand, that line, it's going up towards right shoulder. Make sure that grip is nice and standard, and make sure you're doing this little takeaway drill here. So get to shaft parallel to the ground, make sure your hands are about a fist distance from your right leg, and make sure that club face is matching your spine angle. So it's just slightly toed down. That's nice and square. So if my club face is now nice and square, now I can swing up and swing through, and that will allow me to be able to rotate better through the shot because I don't have to do anything to get the club face squaring in relationship to my target going through the golf ball. So number 3 is a lack of lead arm and hand depth. So what do I mean by that? And this destroys your rotation. So if I get up to the top of my swing, vertically just lift my hands and arms straight up to where you can see all of my right shoulder, look how vertical my lead arm is, and you can see my hands, where the butt end of the club is, it's really down around kind of like my shoelaces region again. So if I try to now rotate from here and I somehow magically successfully do that, the club is going to massively fly over the top because rotation has a little outward force on the hands also. When I rotate, you can see how the hands are going to follow. So golfers who have this position, what they typically will do there, they might be over the top, but for a stall out rotation player, they'll most likely subconsciously drop the hands down aggressively to make sure the path doesn't get too excessive, but your body is going to prioritize dropping those hands down in that short space of time that you're performing a downswing over rotation. So they're going to drop the hands down. By then you're going to be pretty much square onto the golf ball with no rotation at impact. You're just going to flip through the golf ball. So what you want to do from there, you need to get yourself more around. You need to get these hands more around you at the top of the swing. So you want to get this left arm more covering that right shoulder, and you want to make sure these hands are more around where your heels or ankles are, because then when you turn down the downswing, that club's going to nicely fall on path without you trying. And a fix for this is a drill with a long alignment stick. So get yourself a long alignment stick. The swing plate with extension pole attachment would be great. There's a discount code in the video description for one of these. And all you want to do, place the ball about halfway underneath and have this stick roughly around your right shoulder in height wise. So, okay, all I want to do from here is swing underneath this, and I'm going to have that more depth and I'm going to be able to rotate a lot easier. But make sure when you're swinging underneath this, you're doing it via rotating and getting a turn in the backswing. A lot of the reasons why some golfers have that too vertical position at the top is because they're not getting any backswing rotation. You need to coil up in that backswing. Rotation, like we said, your hands and arms will follow your rotation. So if you rotate better in the backswing, the hands are going to get more around you. Absolutely brilliant way to add in that nice depth to get more rotation. This is a brilliant drill for it. So number 4, losing your hip depth in the backswing. So losing your hip depth, what does that mean? That means as you get up to the top of your swing, your right hip is moving forward closer to the golf ball. So if we move that right hip close to the golf ball, and again, I magically start to rotate, the club is now being pushed way too far out in front of me. It's moved the whole swing arc more forward. So what we generally see players do from here is, again, they'll just continue to move their pelvis forward, their upper body will move back, they'll early extend, which will get the hands and arms closer to them, so then they won't have that outward effect of that hip moving forward. So then they'll just stall out their rotation, big old flip, not going to work very nicely for you. Where what we want to do in the fix, we're going to want to have that right hip move back as we move back in that backswing. It's almost like someone's grabbing the right trouser pocket and just gradually pulling it back, getting more hip depth. Depth means more behind. So that's going to prime then you to get that left hip moving back. The pelvis is staying back, and that is so essential for rotation. Now my favorite drill for this is with a camping chair. And what we do with the camping chair, we just put it behind us, make sure it's touching just the top of our hamstrings here, and all we want to do then is make sure we're pushing this chair back in the backswing, and then we could also give it a good push back in the downswing. That's keeping the hip depth, and again, that's going to be fixing one of the reasons why we're not rotating in the downswing. So number 5, you are too steep in the downswing, especially the early downswing. So if we're a golfer who is steep in that early downswing, vertical shaft here, if again they magically rotate from here, they're going to present a very downward angle attack, of course, but very across, steep, swiping across the golf ball. Not going to hit the ball to your target doing that. So what we'll generally see players who have that steep shaft do when they can't rotate, again, they will either do a couple things. They could early extend, pelvis go forward, upper body go back. Could see what that does to the club shaft, shallows it. Or they could also have an excessive amount of side bend early. So where their upper body really side bends, you can see, what does that do? That shallows the golf club later. Those are both going to stall out your rotation and stop you from turning. So for the fix wise, what we need to do, we need to get shallower as we start that downswing. Now we don't need a tremendous amount of shallowing, a little bit goes a long way, but we need that club shaft, that center of mass of the shaft here to start pitching behind us when we start that downswing. So having that movement is going to be really help you to be able to continue to turn. It's really something that massively is a requirement to be able to get good rotation, is a nice shallow shaft, because you can see as soon as I start to turn, I don't have to manage any other shaft angle stuff to be able to get that club onto the golf ball successfully. So the drill to do for it is something very, very simple. Just get an alignment stick, put it up the left-hand side of the golf club just like so, with a lot of it coming up here. Now we can see our shaft angle as we start that downswing. For steep golfers, that stick's going to point straight to the ground, and we want this stick just to start to point in front and have that good turn. So I'd recommend a lot of golfers to do this without a golf ball first, get the stick pointed in front and rotate. But once you do enough of those and you get brave enough, you could pause it at the top and then turn through the golf ball, getting the stick to point in front. Let's do one. And then you'll really start to feel that shallow shaft, and you have to turn doing that drill as well, because if you don't turn, the stick's going to hit your side. You have got to turn to make sure the stick doesn't hit you before impact. Great drill. Now number 6, losing your hip tilt in the downswing. So what I see a lot of players do, they will be bumping their hips forward to start that downswing. Very common, a lot of you are trying to do that. But what that does, that raises up the left side of your pelvis, making it higher than where it was at the top of the backswing. Now what that does, that makes it incredibly difficult to rotate, because when that hip tilt raises, left hip raising, you can see how the upper body immediately wants to fall behind there. So that then makes rotation incredibly difficult to achieve. This is why a lot of you who try to bump and turn get a lot of back pain, because that creates a ton of tension in that lower back. Not very good for being able to rotate if you want to keep your back healthy. So the fix we want to do here, you've got to remember, the golf ball is on the ground. That's why we need to be tilted to the golf ball. We want to keep that tilt in the downswing. So we need to keep this left side down as we start to turn. You can see already my upper body stays on top of my lower body, and I can just continue to turn going through there. So the drill to do is just with an alignment stick, and what you do with the alignment stick is you place it through your belt loops. Now what you do there, you pull a tiny bit coming out on the right. I really mean a tiny bit, and a lot of it coming to the left. Don't want to see that, because that's going to block your downswing. So just the tiniest bit there. And now we can visually see what our hip tilt is doing. So what we want to happen here, we want to have this left side, the long part of the stick, immediately in a downswing to go down and around and disappear. This is absolutely awesome of a rotation drill. I've done it tons myself. So stick to go down and around. Boom. Absolutely brilliant. Love it. Hip tilt is so incredibly important. So many golfers, even very good golfers, are completely missing this part of it. Remember, you need to be tilted to the golf ball to be able to hit it and to be able to turn to keep the club on the arc. So there we go. There is the 6 reasons why you're not rotating in a downswing, and a fix for all of them. And also, if you want more information about rotation, there is a video course that I have called The Ultimate Guide to Rotation in the Downswing. There's a link for it down in the description. Everything you need to know about rotation, how to get it into your golf swing. Again, just like this, all the little problems you can have in the golf swing, and a tailored plan on exactly how to fix it for that individual. Awesome, awesome guide. The most in-depth guide to rotation out there. So if you enjoyed this video, click that like button if you want more golf instruction, just like this. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too, to be notified every time I put out a video. In this video, I'm going to give you a full guide to how to achieve and build a modern rotational golf swing. So this is what we see all the top players in the world now start to use. Lots of body rotation going through the golf ball. And like a lot of you have found out who've tried to do this, it's way harder than they make it look. Because there's a lot of things you need in the golf swing, backswing, downswing, and your setup to be able to achieve this. If you have got even one of the things wrong or slightly off, you're not going to be able to do it. So this video is going to be structured in the different points of the golf swing, from setup, backswing, and different sections of the downswing, of things we want to see and that we need to have in our golf swing to be able to functionally rotate through the golf ball and have this move that we see all the top players have. Rotating in the downswing is all about if your golf swing is good enough and in the spot to rotate. So we need to make sure it's cleaned up, and we're having drills at the end of all of these sections that you can go and practice. And at the end of this video, there's going to be a practice structure and the ultimate rotation drill that you can do once you've got the knowledge to be able to get in there. So this video is going to be more just info based. There's not going to be too many edits. There's not going to be too many side clips of things. So it's going to, like we said, be sectioned, and get ready for a lot of info and for me to be talking to you for quite a while, as you can see in that video length. So number one, setup. Setup is so huge to be able to turn in that downswing and have that rotation body turn going through the golf ball. So what we want to see for rotation with our setup, we want to have our armpits over the balls of our feet. So we want that alignment to be there, armpits over the balls of the feet, because that's going to help your lower body manage the weight of your upper body through the swing and stay in balance. So then we'll be able to turn in the golf swing and keep good balance as we turn. Because so many golfers do this. They'll be having their armpits dead in front of their toes. They'll have their pelvis really stuck behind them and a lot of lower back curve. So then the mass of their upper body is now in front of their lower body. So your lower body now can't really manage the weight of this upper body. So as you turn, we'll see a lot of players here might be okay up to the top, still with the upper body real in front. And then if, let's say, they stayed in this position in a downswing and turn, their weight's going to go massively onto their toes. because their upper body's so far ahead of them, and they're going to lose balance and you won't really be able to turn. So what we see players do from there, we'll see them shove the pelvis underneath them, get the upper body moving back to make the spine extend to one piece, and that keeps their balance, but you still like your rotation because you early extend going through the golf ball. That's not the body rotation downswing. We may even see some golfers have, even in the backswing, their pelvis move forward to regain their balance. Again, make the spine more one piece so they can stay in balance. But again, if your pelvis moves forward, going up to the top of the swing, there is no way you're going to turn going through the golf ball. So that's why you need these armpits, like we said, over the balls of the feet. And then you can stay in your balance and be able to turn functionally and be able to hit these better shots through better rotation. So how do you go about doing that? Yes, there's a little drill for this, a little procedure. Now, like we said, armpits over balls of the feet. Really simple way of doing this. I want you to stand to the golf ball initially with very, very slight bend in the knees, very slight, dead upright with your body. Try to address the ball from there. You can't. So what I want you to do now is get to the golf ball only via relaxing your mid and upper back. So I've kept the same flex in the knees, I've relaxed my upper back and mid back, now I'm on the golf ball. So I haven't gone and pushed my pelvis back, got more knee bend to get down on it. I have just relaxed that mid and upper back. There we go. Now armpits are over the balls of the feet. But if you're an individual with long arms like me, you might have to have a little shuffle back whilst maintaining that same structure of your body. Now you're there. You can do that every time. So have that straighter legs, little bit of a flex, tiny flex in them, straight back, get the club to the ground by relaxing mid and upper back, shuffle back. Now we're in that good spot. Now we can move. So let's talk about backswing. So backswing, there is a bunch of things we can talk about here. There's going to be almost different little sections to backswing here. So we're going to start off with takeaway, what we like to see. Now I'm going to talk about, let's say if a golfer here had a standard golf grip. So more of what we would call a traditional grip, or let's say for takeaway, because this makes a huge difference, your grip type to takeaway, standard grip here. So standard grip golfer, what I would want to see for a rotational golf swing here, I would want to see this player have their club face matching their spine angle. So angle of the club face there matches the angle of your spine. So what the takeaway would generally look like for a standard grip player would be their hands will have a slight in move, very slightly inwards to where they'll be about a fist distance away from the right leg when the hands are level with that right leg. But we would also see how that club head will travel just a little bit on the outside of the hands there. So we get into that position, we're at shaft parallel to ground, the club head is now roughly around my hands. So that will result in that square face. If then I don't do anything funky with my club face or my wrist angles from there, that club face is going to remain square for the entirety of the swing. So why this is so important, because if that club face, let's say it's too closed, pointing towards the ground in my takeaway, I would have to do something to be able to re-square it. Most likely I'd have to stand my body up to raise the hand to square it. So that is not going to, of course, get you to turn through the golf ball. If I had my club face too open, rolled it on the inside with that open face there, this is a very classic one for players who can't rotate, I would have to slow down my body rotation if it remains open to be able to square the club up. So again, not going to be able to have that body rotation release. But if I keep it square and it maintains that throughout the swing, I can keep that club easily without trying to do anything, square to the arc, and I can just turn through and it's going to remain square. So a little drill I like to see for players for that square club face is to get themselves to where they're around shaft parallel to the ground. So like we described what we want to see, about a fist distance outside that right leg. I want to see that real club face there being matching my spine angle, and I want to stop here. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to swing up and swing through, so like a Ricky Fowler drill there. So there we go, stop there, club face is square, swing up, swing through. And that's going to make sure that club face is getting square early and my takeaway isn't stopping me from being able to rotate. So now let's talk about turn in the backswing and how the right arm moves in the backswing. So this is a little bit about setup as well, this right arm portion, if we talk about that first. I like to see players have the underside of their right elbow pointing out in front of them, but also just a little bit to the left there. So why I like that is because it encourages the right arm to have more of a folding movement. because if a player has their right elbow a little bit too inwards, so it's pointing a little bit down the target line, that's going to force this to happen. Right arm's going to get stuck behind the body. And then if the right arm gets stuck behind the body, or seam line we could call it here, then it gets stuck. So then what have you got to do to get to the golf ball? You've got to stall out your rotation, throw the right arm. So again, if you have it just turned in, just so we can see my little UFO there, and then what we want to do is make sure that as we're turning back, now we're encouraging the right arm to have this folding movement, and the ideal right arm movement is like you're doing a half of a bicep curl in the gym. You're doing a half bicep curl, so you don't want to do a full one. You have no width doing that. You want to do a half repetition, but you do that as you turn. So half bicep curl as I turn up to the top. Now my right arm's more in front of my seam line, so then as I turn down, the right arm can stay in front of my pivot. I can turn through the golf ball nicely, not have to do anything. That's how my right arm can help me with my rotation. So before we get into the turn portion there, a great little drill to do here. If you, let's say, struggle with this area, have that right arm in that good setup position, underside pointing in front and to the left. And now what I want you to do, just grip it with your left arm and then cup your right elbow with your left hand, the back of your left hand. Now you can only do this half bicep curl going up. You can't shoot it behind you. So just do these one arm swings, and then you're gonna be able to feel that good right arm mechanics. So here's two drills. You could have a classic ball drill. So like here with the impact ball, Tour Striker Smart Ball also be good with this. Got my good right arm position that's set up. Keep it in between my arms through the entirety of my swing, and then that right arm is gonna be staying more in front of my seam line. If it moves behind, it drops. So really good feedback. That's why Tour Striker Smart Ball is better than this one really, because it doesn't do what it just did there. Run away from you. So keep it in between your arms, then boom, there we go. So the turn portion here, the rotation of the backswing, again, so important. There's two areas of this, two things it affects. So what I'll see for players who turn poorly, that affects their rotation negatively, I'll see them get up to the top, mainly just turn with their upper body, and we'll see their right hip start to move forward. To where then, when their right hip starts to move forward, it's just going to continue to go forward in the downswing. You've got to early extend, you're not going to be able to turn. So I like to see players with their rotation in the backswing have their right hip start to go back. So for players in their sequencing, I like that to happen just after the takeaway, and then have that right hip start to move back. When the right hip's moving back, like someone's grabbing the right trouser pocket, it's going to open up and rotate those hips. Rotating the hips is a better way to try to turn, because when you rotate your hips, the upper body rotates too. So having that right pocket being pulled back after takeaway there is going to get those hips to open, but it's going to get you hip depth. So hip depth is so important. It's when that hip moves more back, right hip moves more back, more depth means more back, then that's going to encourage the pelvis to stay back as you turn into the downswing. So it's going to encourage you to rotate. Again, see, encouragement, the environment to rotate. Now, this again, why it's so important is backswing rotation when it comes to downswing rotation, is the depth of your arms and your hands. So with players who, again, don't turn their hips very well, maybe they move forward, maybe they stay where they are, they don't turn them, their arms will go up to the top of their swing. They'll have a lack of arm and hand depth. Where the left arm is high, the hands are high. So then when they turn the downswing, what happens from there? Downswing puts a rotation, puts a little bit of an outward force on the hands. Now they're over the top, they're going to cut across it. So a lot of players from there, they'll either do that, they'll swing over the top, or their rotation will stall and slow down, because then the hand path needs to drop. When your rotation slows down, hand path drops. So it matches up with that movement just in a very unfunctional way. So good depth, good hip depth, arm depth, all created by good hip rotation. Best drill to do for this is with this chair here. Now this chair will really focus on getting that right hip back. Now we're going to talk about this again at the last part of this video, this chair, and when we get into the downswing portion. So if I can get these balls to stop, let's just move them off. I want to now push this chair back with my right hip in the backswing. Push it back, like I said, preferably after shaft parallel, pushing it back. We can do it earlier like Rory McIlroy, for example. But if we're pushing it back, then we're going to be moving, getting that hip rotation. When we're turning in that backswing, we're getting that good hand and arm depth. Better you turn, the more around you your hands are going to go, so you're going to get more depth. And then when you turn down, club's not going to be out in front of you, and it's going to really be a good one to do for great rotation and enable you to rotate. Hip depth is so important. That's why I've got so many videos on my channel talking about it. So that's a good one you can do for the general rotation of your hips. But let's say you're getting that hip rotation, but you're still not quite getting your arms around you. So where that left arm is covering your shoulder plane, hands are more around your heels or your ankles, which of course helps you get the club on path when you turn the downswing. You could do something like this as a drill. So where we still want to get our hip turn, still want to get that hip depth, but here's a swing plate. So a swing plate with extension pole attachment, just a long alignment stick. We want it to be pretty much over and covering our right shoulder, maybe even slightly above it. Now we want it to be a hand's distance outside the right shoulder. And then all we do, we get that good hip turn. We could use the chair at the same time, or we could just do this and just swing underneath it. And that's going to give you, if you struggle with that high left arm, a good thing to be able to give yourself feedback and drill away that movement. If you want one of these, there's a link in the description. I've got a discount code for the swing plate, which is JChowngolf in lowercase, which will get you 10% off at checkout. So that's all in the description. So let's talk about transition. So going from backswing to downswing, or you could say start of the downswing, how to start that downswing. So many YouTube videos are titled that, like a lot of mine are as well. So how you start that downswing is so incredibly important. It is what I call the new impact, is your start of the downswing. So what we want to happen, we want to have, so we've got all that good stuff before, let's say what we talked about in backswing, got that depth, right arm's in a good spot, we've got that nice square club face, all the good stuff, we've got that good hip depth also. What we want to do, we want to start the downswing by getting that lower body and mid-torso to rotate first, whilst the arms and the chest stay where they are in that first part of the downswing. That's going to do a bunch of things for you. That's one, going to help this shaft shallow. So the shaft is then going to shallow as a reaction. Got to make sure your grip pressure is fairly light when you do this as well. I wouldn't want it more than a 4 or 5 out of 10 in grip pressure. So that's going to help gravity hit that club and shallow out the golf club. So that's one big thing. Two, it helps the right arm get back in front of you. So it should be already in front of your seam line, but having that good movement there of having that lower body mid-torso turn, it's like the left hip going back. That's going to get that right arm moving more in front, and you can see how that's affecting the club shaft. So it's going to help shallowing, it's going to help the arms get back in front of the pivot, and it's going to help the club start to move on path. Because what I see with so many golfers, they'll be so eager to get this downswing rotation, they'll rotate the upper body too. And that just gets the club flying out in front and chopping across the golf ball. So that's why you need the arms and the chest to be really patient. That's why I like the feeling of the arms being slow and feeling that style of downswing really be slow with that upper body, like in slow motion, whilst letting the lower body mid-torso start to turn and move. So that's a really good way to do it. Some golfers, like I've seen with quite a few of my videos, some top tour players like John Rahm, for example, will actually start his downswing before, with his lower body, before he's actually completed it with his backswing. So he will technically be completed with his backswing turn of his lower body when his left arm is about 3/4 of the way up his swing. And then when he gets from left arm parallel up to the top, he starts to already transition with that lower body into the downswing. You see players like Lexi Thompson on the LPGA Tour do it, of course, one of the longest players on the LPGA Tour. We see so many golfers do that move, and it can be a useful one for you out there to learn and picture if you really struggle with that downswing sequencing too. You have to have it in there because that enables all these good shallowing shaft, like we said, arms in front of the pivot, and then it helps you turn through the golf ball with good path. Otherwise, you're just going to have too much of an out to in path if you rotate everything at once. But let's say if you're too quiet with the body in general, and the arms start to race first, then your body's not going to catch up and your arms are always going to fire past and you're not going to be able to use your body rotation very well. So how we do it with this drill, one that you see all the time on my channel, resistance band tied to an upright. I know a lot of you don't like this drill, but I do. It's really, really useful. So having this up onto an upright, a resistance band, about a medium strength one. So then you grip it just like so, in kind of like a makeshift top of the backswing. Because there's resistance to it, I can't really do anything with my arms. So I want to really feel like I'm not really doing anything at all with my arms, not pulling it, not doing nothing. I just want to really get that lower body mid-torso turning. It's like there's something underneath my foot that I'm trying to squish. I'm trying to smush underneath, kind of like my left heel. You can see how that's rotating my lower body mid-torso and getting my arms to stay there. If I do that an absolute ton, that's getting all those good little moves in transition that I want to happen, that change of direction. Then when I replicate it into a ball, I get those nice movements in there. So have a good go at that. That's that portion. Let's talk about the next one. So let's talk about mid downswing, as downswing is really going to be in 3 parts here, just like with transition, first part of downswing, mid downswing, and then through the golf ball. All different things happen. So this is why this is so important. And I do have an even fuller course on this, which has got way more details on every little bit, which is on Skillist, on the app version, Ultimate Guide to Rotation and Downswing. There's a link in the description. And I'm going to be making a new one very soon as well. Still going to have the original being able to purchase, but keep tuned to the channel. I'm going to be releasing a new one, and it's going to be on my own website as well. So stay tuned. So mid downswing, really, really important. So we've got that good first move, lower body, mid torso separating. So we've got that shaft starting to shallow, right arm's now in front of the pivot. I'm moving on good path. I've rotated with that lower body. This is when I'm around left arm parallel in the downswing. Now from here, what's really important, I want to keep the tilt of my hips. So important, this bit. So on my left side, I want it to stay lower than my right. So if I do that and show you with this alignment stick going through my belt loops here, this is really going to be the thing that's going to keep you turning and maintaining those good movements. Because if I say this is the left side of my hip, I want this to continue to turn around. So that's where we get to the impact area, which is shaft parallel to the ground. So if I can keep this stick turning down on the round, then I'm in that good spot. So that's our little drill for this section. You can think in transition, stick going down around, continuing to go down around. And then let's talk about after that, how we're gonna move through the golf ball. So we've got a good hip tilt like we talked about mid downswing through the golf ball. So let's say now through the golf ball, the impact zone, which is from shaft parallel to shaft parallel. So we're at shaft parallel. What we should typically see, hips should be, this is all dependent on your mobility, this portion. Your hips, let's say for me, would be just a little bit open to my golf ball. So they're pointing a little bit towards the left of the golf ball. My chest, if I'm swinging well, should be dead on that golf ball, square to it. So from here, this is such a common question. How do I turn through the golf ball? How do I get through it? This is where you want to have that hip tilt, but this is where that hip tilt starts to raise up a little bit, because this is where you're extending your left side straightens and your right side drops down. So when that left side straightens, your right side's going to do the opposite and go into flexion. So that's where you see all these videos like mine or other golf coaches on YouTube, for example, talking about right shoulder going onto the golf ball. That and left side extension, left leg straightening, are paired together. So let's talk about that left leg straightening. This is the thing that really gets you through that golf ball. Because when that left leg straightens from shaft parallel into the golf ball, it pulls the left side of the body up. It's the whole left side extends. So then that's the left shoulder going up and around. And you can see, what does that look like from a down the line angle? Rotation through the golf ball. And like we said, it will get that right side crunching down too. So the feel here, and the little drill is actually going to be 2 options for the drill. So we know, okay, left side straightening, which is going to force the right side more down, but it's going down as that right shoulder is moving. So even though this isn't about shifting in the downswing, this is all about rotation, you still need to shift your weight gradually as you do this. Still needs that pressure, still needs to be getting onto the lead side, otherwise you're just going to chunk it. So here we go, left side is straightening as I'm going through the ball, rotating me, that's gonna get that right shoulder dropping down onto the ball, that's getting me open, that's clearing me. I don't just want to continue just to turn through it without having any of the dynamic movements, otherwise my club path will just start to get a little bit out in front. A lot of these movements we're talking about in this video, guys, are going to be very instinctual. You're just going to do them after you get in good positions, but that's why we need the knowledge of this area. So left side straightening, right side down, going from shaft parallel to the ground is how we get through that golf ball. It's what whips you through and whips you open. So having this stick in between your belt loops is a great one. This is part of the drill I'm going to talk about at the end of this, so after this section. But we want to be feeling either that left side snapping straight going through the golf ball, or a little bit of that, or feeling that right shoulder dropping on that golf ball, or the right shoulder feeling like it's beating the club to the golf ball, which is also a very, very good feel for it. They'll both get very similar moves in there and both keep you turning through the golf ball. Really, really useful. One little trick you can also do to get through that shot, if I grab another ball, if you're someone who struggles with chest rotation, is feeling or getting that head to swivel as you go through, like a Dustin Johnson, David Duval, Annika Sorenstam, that type of stuff. To where if you get that head swiveling as you're going through impact, that's going to force the chest to rotate as well. Taking your eye off the golf ball is a load of rubbish. Coming out of posture, head up like that, is very valid. That's early extension. But swiveling your head where you're staying in your posture but your eyes are just looking down the target before you get to the golf ball is just going to rotate your chest. It won't do anything negative to you. So if you struggle to rotate your chest, absolutely brilliant one to keep you turning through. So guys, there we go. Those are the positions. So guys, there we go. Those are the positions we want to be able to get into, or motions we want to be able to achieve in certain parts of the golf swing to be able to encourage ourselves to rotate. So as a little summary, we want square club face, more importantly, right arm in front of the pivot, good turn with good hip depth, adequate arm depth. We want to be turning nicely in that downswing. We're going to be separating lower body mid-torso, keeping hip tilt, extension through the golf ball. Sounds like a ton of stuff, doesn't it? But you actually don't need to try and do all of those. That's why I gave you drills at each part of it, not for you to do all of those drills, you to know your swing enough to be able to know what areas you've got to work on, okay? Because this part is what all of you can do. So that last part is not what all of you should do. Again, like we said, it's all about what you need to do personally for your golf swing. Now, here is a drill to be able to get yourself turning through the golf ball. I can guarantee it, but make sure you've got the things in your golf swing. So this is it. So, and this is like the ultimate hip rotation drill, it really is. So this is where we're having elements of two drills here. So like I said, this will make a reappearance in the video, absolutely. But we also have this stick that goes through our belt loops. Tiny bit of the stick on the right-hand side, a lot of it on the left. So that's why hip tilt, even though we only did a little bit of this video about the hip tilt, like I said, there's way more on the Ultimate Guide to Rotation about this, but I still wants to give you guys on YouTube a taste of what everything's about when it comes to rotation. But hip tilt is so important. If that hip tilt levels out, it's really hard to rotate, really, really hard, almost impossible. So we know, okay, what's this chair doing? We're pushing it back, the backswing with our right hip, pushing it back with our left hip. That's going to get the openness of our rotation. That's going to get the backswing rotation. So from there, if I can keep this stick going down and around and just leave it to those 2 points, you're going to be doing a really good drill. Like we said, we don't need to think about every single little bit, because even pushing this chair back, continue pushing back, what does that do? That extends the left side as I push it through as well. So it gets you the rotation through the shot. So stick pointing down and around in the downswing, push the chair back with the right hip in the backswing, back with the left hip in the downswing. So that's going to get you some really, really good rotation. You can start it off with full swing, absolutely, or what I would recommend, don't be silly, do it with a half swing to start off with. So really make sure you're getting that downswing motion in that half swing, and then build it up as you go through here. So again, let's do another one. There we go, just a little half swing feel. Really get yourself turning through there. So that is a great drill for you to go and do to feel the good rotation, and really make sure you know what points in your golf swing are affecting you. So that's where, if you need help, absolutely, there's a link in the description there for me on Skillist for online lessons. Absolutely brilliant way to learn remotely. Anywhere in the world, you can get in contact with me. We can do a lesson on Skillist to make sure we're working on the right things. You don't want to be wasting your time and spinning your wheels. And you might even have a golf swing where you get in certain positions that I say not to get into in this video and still move okay. And you might be changing something that doesn't need to be changed. Like we see out on tour, we see so many players get into specific positions. Let's say Justin Thomas with a higher left arm, Colin Morikawa, let's say, for example, in a similar position, still rotate incredibly well through the golf ball because they're matching up with certain movements. Again, talk about all that in the Ultimate Guide to Rotation. Again, that is in the video description as well, but stay tuned because there is one coming out. So, absolutely, guys, don't have to do all of these. I'll say it again, do not have to do all of them. Just what applies to your golf swing. Don't even try to think of all of these at once. Know what bit you need to get into, but increasing the golfing knowledge of this area is so important. Golfing IQ is huge to be able to get better and have ownership over your golf swing. But all can have a good go. For those of you who got through this video, it's a long one, so do that drill with a chair and a stick. That's going to be brilliant for you. So if you enjoyed this video and you want more videos like this, more of a complete guide, let me know. But other than that, click that like button. And if you want more golf instruction, just like this, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.